All right, so this is story number 5. This is the story of my man Jakson Reetz. Jakson is a catcher in the Washington Nationals organization. He's with Potomac part of 2017, 2018, and part of 2019. He ended up getting called up last year towards the end of the season to play with Harrisburg during their playoff run. Jakson, he was a catcher, right? So he was always out there first. And that's how we got to know him. That's how Abbie got to know him. He learned her name, and always talked to her every single time. It was a span of 3 different years, and every time he talked to her, every time he walked by, just an awesome guy, right? Abbie became a fan in 2017. Season ended, 2018 comes, and we know him already, right? So, their relationship, continues to build, right? Because he talks, right? He just didn't say hi. He'd come and stop and talk to her, right? Which is an awesome thing to do. So she becomes a fan of his, and every minor league team, they have theme jersey nights. Different themes: Star Wars night, whatever, Office night. And they sell those jerseys. They auction them off, usually for some sort of nonprofit. We had never bought one up to that point, but decided that we were going to buy one, and she wanted to buy Jackson's. It was Jurassic Park night, and so we bid on it. I think we were bidding against a couple people, but we ended up winning the jersey, right? It's like 6th or 7th inning, and they call it off. So we had got the jersey. It was our jersey. And so, Abbie, the whole game had been rooting for him to get it dirty, right? He's a catcher, starting catcher, so it's pretty well worn already. But she just wanted it really dirty. So like the probably 7th or 8th inning, Jakson was going into second base somehow. I don't know if he'd hit a double or what exactly had happened, but he was going in and did a head first slide into second base. And this was the result. Abbie was so excited. We don't wash them. You don't wash game use jerseys. At least we don't. We let them air dry. My wife made us air dry it in the garage. Right, so as you can see a signature on there, it's kind of tough. Right, so this is the first jersey we ever bought from, a themed jersey night. How the process goes is that, the game ends, the players go into the clubhouse, they sign the jersey, they come out, and there's a peanut rep out there, and they're calling people off by number, who bought number 5, and, the people would come up. And Jackson's turn came up, he came up, and they're like, okay, who bought number 12? And so we started walking up, and Jakson did a fist pump. He's like, yes, when he saw Abbie. And that may seem like a little insignificant thing, right, to Jakson, there's no chance he even remembers it or whatever, right? But that fist pump was a click moment for Abbie. He was happy that it was her that bought the jersey, right? And so that is when she turned in, to a super fan. Abbie's a fan of a lot of people, right? Because a lot of people have been super nice to her, but she's a super fan of only a few people. And Jakson is definitely one of them. We got our picture taken with him, and she was just so excited, right? And she talked about how he fist pumped a lot. Season progressing, and then one game, Jakson broke a bat. And Abbie, I don't think had ever asked a Peanut player for a bat up to that point. She had gotten a bat from Spencer, but she didn't ask for Peanut's players, but she really wanted Jackson's bat. So after the game, she went and found Jakson. He was in the dugout getting ready to go in the clubhouse, and she asked him for the bat. And he said, I'm not sure what they did with it. I'll give it to you tomorrow. Right? And so I don't know if she thought that he was going to give it to her, or, she wasn't ever going to remind him or anything. If he forgot, he forgot, And, but anyway, we walk in there the next day, and he sees her, and he walks out with it, right? Jakson Reetz. Notice there's no CK, it's just JAK, right? Snapped. Nice Chandler bat. And gave it to her, and it was an awesome moment for her, right? Because it was, somebody that she is a super fan of, and it was like the first peanut bat that she had. So, the season progresses a little more, and Jakson breaks another bat, and she goes down and asks him for it again. And this time he says he can't because he is using it for something. I'm not going to say what he was using it for. I told her what it was, and she was 100% okay with it, right? It was awesome what he was doing with it. I just don't know if I just don't want to share what he was doing with it. It's a good thing. Anyway, but and 100% okay with it. Loved what he was doing with it. Didn't care, And like the next game, she's there, and Jakson came up to her and was like, "Hey, I feel really bad about not giving you the bat." And like I said, she was 100% okay with it. And she's like, "Oh, that's fine." And so he said, "But I want to give you these instead." Jakson gave her batting gloves, right? So Abbie has 100 bats, roughly 100 bats. She has 4 batting gloves that have been given to her over time, right? So they are super special to her. And I think that was the second pair of batting gloves she ever got, right? Randolph Gassaway, who was a Baltimore Oriole prospect, just an incredible dude, one of my favorites. Gave her some ripped gloves, right? He played in a game and one rip, so he gave her the gloves. We have those upstairs too. But those were the first time anybody given her, they're not ripped, they're game ready, right? And that was huge to her. So it just kind of solidified him as, one of her favorites. And then, the season progresses, and all season, they wear military appreciation jerseys on Sundays. I think it was Sundays, right? All season. So it's the same jersey they wear every Sunday at home. And Abbie really wanted it. And she saved up a pretty significant chunk of money for it, right? We weren't sure how much it was going to go for. We had an idea, right? So she had saved up more than that. And it was a pretty decent chunk of money, right? We didn't expect it to go for that much, but just in case. So, last Sunday of the season, they auction off those jerseys as well. And she goes down there and bids on it, and then somebody else bid on it. And she bids on it again, and somebody else bids on it. It got to the point where she was there. She'd write down a number, and the lady would right behind her would just do it. And I don't even know if this lady knew Jakson or whatever. I don't know, because I didn't recognize her. We go to every game, and sometimes there's wasn't very many people there, right? So we typically recognize the regulars, and I didn't recognize her at all. But anyway, like Jackson's jersey just kept going up and up and up and up. It was ended up probably being one of the most expensive ones sold that day. But it got to the point where it was right at basically how much money she had saved. And she said, I can't pay anymore. And she came up and sat down, and like she started crying, right? And I was like, Abbie, you know what? Right? She had her money. She had saved up, a lot of money. I said, just go bid. We'll pay whatever. It was dumb. It was not dumb. It wasn't dumb. It was awesome. So she goes down there, writes down a number. The lady does it again, and then it's almost the last hour, and Abbie's like writing down her bid, and this lady's like screaming, yelling at her, and yelling, "Gotta get out of the way!" And she wrote down her final bid, and the inning was over, so the jersey was hers. It was pretty dramatic scene there. Because she was crying, she got it. That lady was angry. It was just a weird situation, right? And I stayed back. I let her do it because I think we were maybe on the phone, and I was telling her how close, how many outs there were, and I don't know. It was funny, this situation. It wasn't funny at the time, but now I look back on it, it was. So we ended up winning it, right? Here it is. Right, Jakson Nationals, right? He wore this the entire 2018 season. on Sundays, and this is one of the jerseys that she has hanging up in her room. Um, it actually has a big, place of honor in her room. And if you ever had a chance to see the story that WUSA 9 did on her when they came down and recorded it, it's the one hanging up on the wall. Right, so it was awesome. Took a picture with them. It's great. It was great to get that jersey. Paid probably more than we wanted to, but it's definitely worth it. So we go down to spring training, see him. He's one of the first people we see when we go down there. Walking down there, excited to see her. Get a good picture together. And we hung out a lot with the minor league teams when we were down there. Just because they're so accessible. I mean, you can literally go to one field and watch all four teams play. A plus, double A, triple A. It's an incredible experience. If you haven't been to spring training, you need to go. Right, so we have a good relationship with him, see him down there. Then we come back. He gets assigned to Potomac again. First game there, actually went to meet the players banquet, talked to him, and he sees him. We see him, and Jackson's told Abbie, he's like, "Hey, I got something for you. I'll give it to you at the game." Which was cool. She was excited. Walked out. So we're there. He comes out of the dugout, and here he comes with this. Right. I think it's got some damage on it, right? This is a Victus, bat. He's also number 1 now. He remembered her, right? I mean, he was at spring training. He brought this back. He broke it at spring training, and he brought it back for her. What an awesome thing to do for her. She was blown away that he remembered to do that, and she loves Victus bats too. The first bat we ever got was a Victus bat. That just kind of shows the character of Jakson, right? What kind of guy he is, and why he's one of our favorites, right? And I know I've said this about multiple players, but he's one of our favorite people because he's just an awesome guy. But that's not even the best thing he ever did for her. So Abbie really wants to be a sports reporter. That's her goal. Thanks to like Alex Chappell has been a big role model with her, and some other people. And that's something she really wants to do. And so one day she asked Jakson if she could interview him, and videotape it. And this is a guy fighting to, make his dream, right? And make it to the majors, and he is a hard worker. Like after every game, he's out there running, he's a hard worker. So he takes the game very seriously. But he said yes and took the time before a game to go. Like we got there early, and Kelsey helped record, and Abbie's up there interviewing him, and I mean it was like a dream. It was like a dream to her, and she posted it, and it's my child's dream, right? And he's going to be a part of it. I firmly believe that Abbie will do that someday, and and he was the first guy to ever let her interview him, right? And he didn't have to. He could have said, "No, I'm busy or I got to focus," and he didn't. He took the time out to do that, right? And so that is why he holds place of honor in her room, along with some of these other players that have just done incredible things, right? But I think as time goes, you look back on that moment where she interviewed him, if her plans go as she wants them to, and I think they will because she's a hard worker, that'll be a massive moment in her life. Not just her love of baseball, but just her whole life. And I wanted to tell his story and show you the stuff we have of his, and he ends up seeing this. I just want to thank him from the bottom of my heart for being that guy, being the guy that took the time. Jeez, I gotta quit crying at these things. Took the time to help a girl with her dream, right? So thank you, Jakson, and I can't wait to see you at the big club soon.